Well, welcome to the 20th annual LegisGator event. Let's give a round of applause. Sorry about that. I am a little nervous. This is my first one, so bear with me. So good morning, everyone. For those of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name's Scott Walker. I'm the president and CEO of the Chamber Southwest Louisiana Alliance. And I've been in this role now for just about 6 months. And in a short time, I've been listening, learning, and seeing firsthand what makes Southwest Louisiana so remarkable. You can feel it in the way that people welcome you here, the way businesses rally to solve challenges, and the way this region pulls together to get things done. I've learned that we know how to adapt and thrive here. We're built on energy, industry, and grit. I've observed a region that's not standing still. I'm excited to be here in Southwest Louisiana. Right now, we are on the cusp. We are shaping and innovating the future of energy, advanced manufacturing, aerospace, and defense. I see a place not waiting for opportunity to come to us. I see us creating opportunity here, right here in Southwest Louisiana. Today, we are taking time to honor our partners in this work, our legislators that are helping us build the right environment for us to achieve our vision. And we'll hear from our governor and our federal delegation about their work that matters for the state of Louisiana and for us here in Southwest Louisiana. With their help and your help, we can be one of the world's best launch pads for builders, innovators, and bold thinkers. We can create opportunity here for companies, for workers, for families, and for our communities. And I've seen Southwest Louisiana in action, from the industrial corridors to the research labs, from our ports to our classrooms. I see us achieving great things. With a forward-focused strategy, we will attract business, talent, and investment to fuel our next chapter. And together, we will build a resilient, future-ready economy. That economy will be one that will define our successes for generations to come. It's exciting to be here. I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to work with y'all and call Southwest Louisiana home. Thanks. So if you wouldn't mind right now, please stand for our invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. The pledge will be led by our 2024 and 2025 Chair of the Board, Jamie Fruchet, CEO of West Cal Cameron Hospital, and our invocation will be given by the Very Reverend Joseph Caraway, Chancellor for the Diocese of Lake Charles, Director of the Office of Liturgy, and Master of Ceremonies to Bishop Provost. Father Caraway.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. God of all creation, as we gather to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the LegisGator, we are reminded of the profound beauty and resilience of our great state of Louisiana. We thank you for being the source of our many blessings. At this gathering of business leaders, legislators, and lawmakers, we humbly ask for your blessing on all who contribute to the success of our community and economy. Bestow upon them your wisdom and a deep commitment to serve the greater good. May they be instruments of your providential care, especially for those in need, those who are still recovering from natural disasters, our children, the elderly, and those living in the margins of society. Help them to be the bridge builders who unite diverse voices and honor the dignity of every person, while possessing the fortitude to foster growth and healing in our communities. On this special occasion, as business leaders and elected officials come together, inspire them to continue pursuing the common good, and may they and their families witness the fruits of their dedication to our state. We ask all these things through Jesus Christ, our Lord, who lives and reigns forever and ever. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Please face the flag and recite with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you all. Please be seated and we'll continue with your lunch. Good afternoon again. We're going to go ahead and get started on the program. I want to start by a special thank you to our host and title sponsor, L'Auberge Casino Resort Lake Charles. Harold Rowland is here. I know he's on the table right there. And the whole team, let's give the whole team a round of applause for everything they do to make this event such a great success. I'd like to also thank our presenting sponsors. Citgo, Vice President and General Manager Sterling Neblett is a member of the Chamber Southwest Board of Directors. And Citgo is a top producer of fuel and major employer here in our region, in the state, and the nation. Next sponsor I'd like to recognize is Sassaw. Sassaw continues to be such a great supporter of our work at the Chamber and Alliance. And we want to welcome Kim Casimano, Sarah Hughes, and the Sassaw team. Sarah is a member of our board of directors as well. Let's give Sassaw a round of applause. In Woodside Energy, the record-setting foreign direct investment in the Louisiana LNG project, President Sarah Bairstow is here, and the Woodside Energy team is with us as well. We want to thank them for their support. Let's give all of our presenting sponsors a round of applause. Now, as we prepare to hear from our distinguished guests on stage, I'd like to call up Sterling Neblett, Vice President and General Manager of Citgo Refinery here in Southwest Louisiana, and as mentioned, one of our presenting sponsors, to introduce our first speaker.
Thank you, Scott, and good morning, and welcome to LegisGator 2025. We're honored today on behalf of Citgo to have the opportunity to introduce our governor to you this morning. As a veteran of Operation Desert Storm, a former public officer, and a small business owner, he's demonstrated a lifelong commitment to public service. He has served, as you all know, as the U.S. Congressman and as Louisiana's Attorney General prior to being elected as our state's 57th governor. So please join me in welcoming the governor of the great state of Louisiana, the Honorable Jeff Landry.
How are y'all doing? I figured we'd just play the video and then we could all go. It really is unbelievable. I want to thank both the Senate President and the Speaker of the House for helping us put that video together. That was not a video for just the governor. That was a video for the great team that has been operating in Baton Rouge and around this state to make historic changes to this state. Now, I tell you, I've been working for a couple of weeks now on my comments because I know y'all got Senator Kennedy up here. That's a tough act to either follow or go forward. But I want you to know it is always great to be here in this part of the state because this is a part of the state that has understood the immense potential of Louisiana for decades now and is actually doing something about it. It is a part of the state that I've consistently said is the one bright, shining spot in our state. But not anymore. It still is a great, bright, shining spot. But I'm going to talk to you about all the other great, shining, bright spots that we have around the state. But I want to lay this out. You know, some 18 months ago, after being sworn in as your 57th governor, got in after inauguration, and I looked at a stack of books that people had gifted me on my desk. I was kind of looking for a manual of exactly how to be a governor. They give you one when they go to Congress, you know that. I don't know about the Senate, but in Congress they give you one. And So I was rifling through these books, and there was a small book that I picked up on Huey Long, and it was written, in it was a note from the author, a gentleman by the name of Tyler Lucas, who was from Texas, a young man who was born and raised in Texas, but was attending the University of Virginia. Now, I don't know about y'all, but they tell me they got a good law school in Virginia. You'd have to ask Senator Kennedy about that. He could get in, I couldn't. But Tyler decided to pick up and write a book about Huey Long and his governorship. And what's interesting is the way that the book starts out. And so he starts the book out by saying that when Huey Long entered politics, Louisiana was an immensely backward state. It was suffering from a stagnant economy, a dreadful education system, and one of the worst infrastructure systems in the country. And so as I sat there and I read it, I turned to Sharon, we're sitting in bed, and I read those words to her. And she said, "So that was Louisiana when Huey founded?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "So after 100 years, we still have those same problems?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, tell me, how long was he governor before they shot him?" I said, "1 term." She said, "Well, good luck. You finally may have found yourself in a position you can't talk your way out of. I'm going to bed." But I kept reading on, and there was as Tyler continued, he said, worst of all, the leadership in Louisiana didn't seem to care. And that statement, that sentence, really to me brought into focus what type of challenge that we were up against some 18 months ago. But what I believed then is what I continue to believe today, that was not present then, is that we now do have a critical mass of people in this state who you have sent to Baton Rouge and to our nation's capital that actually care. And while it might not be apparent by picking up the paper or what the media says, and yes, you can always find those that love to complain that either progress is either too fast or not good enough, or it's going too slow, or they complain about what needs to be done or what others are not doing, or they brag about what they could do but seem to never actually get anything done. And then, of course, there are those that complain there's always a better way, or they certainly lack the patience for what it takes to change things. And that's okay. You know, I've always heard consistently that politics is a selfish business. And people would tell me that all the time, and I'd say, I just don't subscribe to that. Because I believe what Ronald Reagan said is that there is no limit to the amount of good that you can do if you don't care who gets the credit. And we can only achieve great things, I believe, when we work with others by finding a way when there seems to never be a way. And so over the last 18 months, we have actually been able to assemble that critical mass of people who want to put aside the selfish part of politics and are hell-bent on changing the state. People who are more worried about the next generation than the next election. And what we have been able to accomplish is actually the greatest story that no one in this state is writing about. Because we are no longer the laughing stock of the South. No, today, Louisiana, for once in a lifetime, is poised to take its place as a leader in a new industrial South. And if you don't believe me, just go look up Google. It's so interesting now because it's not like in the old days. You got, actually, all of y'all can do this on your cell phones. You can just go to Google and you can type in Reuters, Louisiana, and you see an article that Reuters writes, and they write, today the Bayou State is staging a revival that could see it emerge as the more dynamic and influential Gulf Coast hub over the coming decades. Think about that. You want to know why? Why? Because as our great economic development secretary says, Susan Bourgeois says, capital goes where capital is treated the best. And what we've done over the last 18 months is to tell the world that we will do the best things for them. I want you to just, as you sit there, I want you to think about where you were 3 years ago. I want you to think about what Louisiana looked like just 36 months ago. And then think about if I told you, if I'd have stood at this stage and said, just trust me, elect me governor, and let me tell you what we'll do. 36 months ago, we were 31st in economic outlook, and today we're 18th. If I'd have told you that we would be 18th, you probably would have said, he's a great politician and a liar, so you'd either voted for him because that's what you like, or you wouldn't have. But today, in the best states, worst states rankings of states to start a business, we've gone from 29th to 20th. In the Energy Information Administration's outlook for industrial electricity rating, this is important. We've gone from 21st to 5th, no, to 2nd. In U.S. News and World Report, the lowest cost of living, we've gone from 13th to 5th. In the best and worst education systems in U.S. News and World Report, we went from 20th to 13th. We've had a 450% increase in potential new business. We've had a 127% increase in job opportunities. That equates to 70,000 new job opportunities across all four corners of this state. Think about that for a second. That is unbelievable. And you know what that does? That is the reason that for the first time in 30 years, 30,000, we counted 30,000 people coming into Louisiana rather than 35,000 people leaving Louisiana. I mean, the statistics keep going on and on. I mean, last year, Louisiana received the 2024 Platinum Deal of the Year from Business Facilities Magazine. I want you to know something. We've never been in the running for the bronze, okay? Like, we were never even mentioned in this. We went from 0 to 100. We went from never being on the scale to getting the Platinum Deal of the Year. Our tax reform has given us the second lowest income tax in the nation. Now look, I want you to know something. Let me tell you how great the media is here. I go around and people say, I can't believe they eliminated the income tax in Mississippi. I said, well, they didn't. Oh yeah, I saw it on the paper. Tate, read. Look, Tate, I said, Tate, you good. I saw him the other day. They did. They are going to eliminate their income tax in like 2040. Okay? They don't reach 3% until 2030. We're at 3% today. And if I would have told you that these would have been the statistics 36 months ago, you would have told me I was crazy. Really. I mean, I'm honest, I haven't found anybody that said, oh no, I knew that. I mean, we had 3 of the top 10 most dangerous cities in the country. New Orleans was in the top 10 most dangerous cities in the world. Today, crime has been cut by 50% in that city. And our cities are moving out of that ranking. And these statistics are proof that what we have done is actually the greatest story that no one is writing about. And it's the work that's being done again by this great legislature and by this great cabinet that we assembled. And I'm going to tell you something else. By also one of the most cohesive congressional delegations I have ever seen in this state. And they and we and I are capitalizing on the relationships that you have afforded us. Great relationships that we share with, like, the President of the United States, who, when I was in there the other day, I consistently remind him that Cameron Parish is in Louisiana, and it has the greatest percentage of vote. He received the greatest percentage of vote in Cameron Parish than anywhere in the country. Because he has this little map. I want you to know he's got a map on his desk. It's like this red and blue map. It's like, really? Show me where Cameron is. So I show him. He's like, 93%. I thought I got 98. But we remind him. You know, from public safety to education to tax reform to insurance reform. Look, the people of this state, how many of you have been begging for Louisiana to diversify its economy? They have been begging for a diversified economy since Huey Long. And today, we're on the brink of one. On the brink of a diversification like we've never had an opportunity before. But the question really is are we brave enough to embrace it? Today, we have over $70 billion worth of private investment projects going on in all four corners of this state. It's mind-blowing. It's not only historic, okay, but never have we had that level of economic activity in all of the corners of the state. And if it hasn't touched you yet, just wait. I think we've moved so fast, people from Louisiana, they can't wrap their heads around it. From the largest data center that will be built in the world to the first steel mill to be built in this country in 60 years, to the largest construction project in North America. All of those things are going on in our great state. And the question is, are we capable of continuing the momentum? Because to do that, we have to figure out, are we capable of getting past the gaslighting that people like to do that divides us? Are we capable of having faith in those that we have elected to change the state and have proven that we can and can do more? I mean, just look at this area. For over 30 years, we've needed a new bridge over the Calcasieu River. Today, that bridge is a reality. It is being built. And each one of you are a stakeholder in it. There is not a deal like what y'all got anywhere in Louisiana. In fact, there's not a deal in the world like what y'all have. Because once built, once paid for, this area will receive 15 cents on every dollar that comes off of that bridge that you get to put back in infrastructure in the entire Imperial Calcasieu area. No one has a deal like that. It is the greatest deal that's ever been done. In fact, after we did this deal, I got folks from Baton Rouge now. How can we do a deal like they did in Lake Charles? You see? Thanks to the Trump administration and Secretary Kristi Noem and this congressional delegation, by October, FEMA has agreed to release $21 million to Kevin Melton and his team over at Chenault, money that they have been waiting for 5 long years to begin repairing those hangars. It's coming in October. If not, I'm calling Bill and John. And no state has a larger stage than the one that y'all built here. Louisiana is now exporting 60% of all of the LNG going out of this country to the world, placing the Calcasieu port in the top 10 busiest ports in the country. No state plays a bigger role at delivering LNG than Louisiana now. No longer are we required to talk about building a vision. That vision, it's underway. Louisiana's LNG leadership is not hypothetical. It's operational, it's profitable, and it's growing. And you all deserve the credit. Give yourself a round of applause. The statistics are just unbelievable. I mean, watch this. I pulled this. I called Susan. I said, all right, I know we've got a bunch of LNG ports here. They're operational. We got a bunch more coming. Like, what are the permanent jobs that they have? Listen to this. The currently existing LNG ports have created 1,000 permanent jobs with an average wage of over $200,000 a year. Now that's lifting people out of poverty. That is something that everywhere you would go in the United States, they would be begging for. And that doesn't include the tens of thousands of construction jobs that continue to move in and out of this area, because we're not done yet. We've got so many more new LNG facilities. We got blue ammonia facilities that are talking about being built. And no area of the country is better positioned to grab this than us. We don't just export LNG, we export stability around the world. Because from Europe to Asia, remember this, from Europe to Asia, countries are turning to Louisiana to meet their energy needs. And the president's America First plan is playing out beautifully for Louisiana. And this is the story, again, that no one in Louisiana is writing about. But what's interesting is they don't write it here, but they're writing about it outside of Louisiana. And so the question is, can we continue the momentum? And I would tell you that the answer to that is yes, but only if we're willing to embrace new opportunities. And one of those opportunities is carbon capture. Now I want to talk about this. Y'all know I like to get myself in trouble. But I want to explain to y'all about carbon capture, because it's what Asia and Europe want, okay? And it's equivalent to adding like a little blue tag on the bow of that LNG facility, because that's what they want. And I'm not here, I want you to know, I'm not here today to debate the rationale, only the reality. And many legitimate questions about it have been raised, but many statements have been made that are simply not true. But the reality is do we embrace it or don't we? Do we lose the opportunity and let some other state accept it? And the answer to that is really sitting in each one of these tables. It's not standing right here at this podium. It's up to y'all. But I've been thinking about trying to break this down to explain to you what it's about. And so I thought about a little story about two cousins of mine. One's named T and the other's named Boo. Now, both of them are some crafty little Cajun fellas. They both grew up in a little town, St. Martinville, where I was from, and both of them left at the same time. Boo went over to Houston and became a fancy car salesman in one of those fancy car lots, you know, like Porsche, Lamborghinis. And T, he came over to Lake Charles and went to work for Ryan Navarro, who had Billy Navarro Chevrolet. I was wondering if somebody was here. But anyhow, so they left and they went about their business about a year ago. And this year, right before the summer, they showed up at the camp. And T showed up in a brand new 21-foot bass boat. I'm talking about The metallic paint on it was so bright you needed sunglasses for it, even at night. He pulled that thing on a trailer. They had so much chrome. I think when you put the boat on the trailer, it looked like a Mardi Gras float. Had so many. How many of y'all bass fishermen around here? I'm talking like every accessory you can imagine. I mean, he must have spent like a small farm on the thing. And me and Boo were just like, what the hell has he gotten himself into? So he pulls up. He got his fancy boat. We're like, well, T, how you got this boat? Like, how can you afford that? He said, you ain't gonna believe this. He said, let me tell you what happened to him a couple of weeks ago. He said, last week I was over in the dealership in the showroom. He said, you know, Chevrolet just released a brand new special edition Corvette. And they were gonna send one to every state. They're only making 50 of them. So we had one brand new, shiny red. I mean, should have seen the thing. Did 100 miles an hour, stopped. He said, fellow walks into the dealership and he starts looking at the car. So I tell him about it. I asked him, I said, how can I help you? He said, well, I'm looking for a sports car. I said, well, you got one right there. You want it? He said, you know, I've been looking. I think I do, but I need 50. Now, T being the slick Cajun he is, first of all, he don't believe him. Second of all, he don't want to lose the sale. So the guy says, well, can you give me 50? T says, oh, I can get you 50, no problem. He said, but let me tell you something. I got to have to check your credit. You go buy 50 of these cars. Give me your credit. Let me go in the back. Your credit is good. I'll sell you the 50. So the fella gives him his license, gives him his information. T goes in the back. He sees Ryan. He says, Ryan, you ain't going to believe this fella wants to buy 50 of them brand new Corvettes. Ryan says, well, I can't sell it 50. We only got one. He said, well, let's check his credit. Somebody checked his credit. Lo and behold, the fella got more money than Bezos. They're looking at, oh my God, he can afford anything in the world. Ryan said, I wonder if he wants to buy the dealership. Ryan says, what are we going to do? T says, well, look, Ryan, they tell me they make them Corvettes up in Bowling Green, Kentucky. That ain't too far from Louisiana. Why don't y'all call them fellas up over there, tell them we got a guy that wants to buy 50 of them. Maybe they'll make us a deal. Ryan's all right, call up Bowling Green, Kentucky. They can tell the guy, get the manufacturer rep on the phone. They told him, manufacturer's rep said, I tell you what. He said, tell you what I'll do for you, Ryan. The guy's going to buy, if the guy agrees to buy 50 and he puts the money up front and all of the cars have the same accessories, we'll make you one. We'll run 50 of them for the fella. So boy, T goes back. T says, I go back, tell the fella. Fella says, not a problem. T breaks out the brochure. They go through all the stuff. You know, like the heated steering wheel, the air-conditioned seats, the touch screen, all of the fancy things. I don't know what you put in a Corvette. Never rode one. I couldn't afford one. I should have went to work for Ryan. So they go through them all. They get down to the color. So T's telling us the story. He says, I asked the fella, you want a red one? The fella says, no. I said, well, he says, you want a black one? White one? He said, you know, sometimes they make them sports cars in like a banana yellow. What color you want? Fella says, well, look, here's the thing. I want 25 of them pink with some blue polka dots, like on gros comme ça, like my grandpa would say. He said, the other 25, I want them powder blue with some big pink polka dots. Now, T said, I'm looking at the fella saying, now, who would want to ride around in a Corvette again? Much less have 50 of them. But T said, but I held my breath because I didn't want to lose the sale. And I'm thinking, how am I going to do that? The guy says, can you do that? T said, I'm going to have to get right back to you. He runs to the back, sees Ryan again. Ryan was in the back calculating all the money he's fixing to make. Ryan said, what's the problem? T says, he got all the accessories, but he wants 25 of them pink with blue polka dots and 25 of them baby blue with pink polka dots. Ryan says, now how are we going to do that? He says, call that fella at Bowling Green, hell. Called the fella up, and the guy almost lost his mind. He said, I think y'all pulling my leg. The guy says, no. So I'm telling you, got all the money, got all the accessories. Here's what he wants. The guy says, well, I tell you what I'll do. He says, if the fella puts the money up front today, and he pays a 15% upcharge, we'll paint his cars, hell, any color he wants. T says, okay, goes in the back, goes back to the front, tells the fella whips out his checkbook, writes it out. And he tells T, he says, now T, you deliver them Corvettes to me in the color that I want, we just ordered them. I'm gonna come back in 6 months and I'm gonna order some trucks. He said, and if you deliver them trucks to me, he said, I'm gonna make you the place where I buy all my vehicles, and I buy a lot of them. He said, I'm your man, believe you me. He said, that's how I got my boat. He said, let me tell you something. You should see my assortment of hunt rifles. Y'all think my boat's something? He said, I went and bought every one of them kind of Weatherby's they make. I can shoot things from a squirrel to an elephant now. That's how much money I made. Now I'm listening to this story, and I look at poor Boo, and he's turning a little yellow. I said, Boo, what's wrong with you? He said, I think I'm gonna be sick. I said, why? He said, well, T, let me ask you, that fella you were talking to, was he one of them Asian fellas? T says, yeah, I think he was from Asia, one of them countries past California. He said, did he have a real fancy suit on? I said, yeah. Nice tie, like a silk one? Yeah. Shiny black hair? Yeah. He said, now, T, that fella wouldn't have happened to have some of them alligator slippers on. T said, but Boo, you know him? He said, do I know him? My manager threw him out our showroom. He wanted 50 big Porsches just about a month ago. That's the question. The question is, are we going to sell it, or is Texas going to? Do we create a safe and trustworthy way to embrace this new opportunity, like those of us who stood before us and embraced oil and gas and the refining business 50, 60, 70 years ago? Do we keep this historic momentum going? Or do we really give it up? That's the question. Are we willing to throw the fella out of the showroom before we've had an opportunity to understand what they want? And do we go back to a state that will continue to have a stagnant economy, poor educational system, and bad roads? Because you cannot fix the educational system, you cannot fix your roads, you cannot fix the insurance problem unless you bring economic activity and jobs and money to this state. It is your choice. I want you to understand this. It is not my choice. I am not making that decision for you. We are bringing the opportunity to the people of Louisiana, but there will be no more meta opportunities. There will be no more steel mill opportunities. The amount of LNG exported out of here will decline if we don't have that little blue tag. Don't fuss at me. Go talk to them fellas in Asia and Europe. That's what they want. Because you know what, ladies and gentlemen, 18 months ago, you proved to the rest of the state, and actually America, that a child raised in a small rural town in Louisiana, from a heritage as thick as his accent, raised in a community that believed in God and family and country, that little boy could ascend to the highest spot in this state, when no one said we could. And I believe that you elected me and many of these folks that sit here today to change this state. To change this state so that our children could grow up with great memories. Like the memories I had when I was a young child, when I would go to bed at night excited about the next adventure that I could get myself into. How the little towns around this state offered great opportunities where you could leave your house unlocked and you knew everyone on the street. And while the booms and the bust of the oil field did affect us, our farms and our textile mills and our refineries saved us from severe economic distress. But the decades of bad policies in Washington, not these people's fault. I want to make sure we understand this. But the decades of past bad policies in Washington, D.C. have robbed this state of that. Each bad decision that they made at that Capitol over the last 50 years by those that were in charge seemed to sink this state deeper and deeper into despair. But I've always believed in this state, and I've always believed in you. And the trials that we have got taught us lessons that hard work, faith, and loyalty, and above all, faith, is what the people of Louisiana have taught me. Faith that whatever nature or foe threw at us, we never wavered and we never gave up. That in the despair and the challenges and the sorrow, this area more than ever instilled in me an obligation to right those wrongs of the past, to place this state on a path to success. And you know, I've been lucky. I've been lucky enough to travel around this country. And I've seen the progress and the economic opportunity that has blessed so many other states while we have waited. But I want you to know, we don't wait anymore. Today, the world gets to see us as who we are, as the people who never quit and never quit trying, as the people who never say it can't be done, as the people who find a way when there is no way, as the people who always have a kind word at their table, as the people who get to share a culture of hard work and humility that is our greatest asset. And whether they write this story today or not, today we are living in the greatest story that has yet to be told. And how it ends depends on you. God bless you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Governor. Your leadership is critical for this state of Louisiana and the juncture we're at. We want you to know we're your partner. We're going to work hard to make sure that we achieve everything you have planned for us. Thank you. If I could draw your attention to the cards at your table, part of that plan that we're working on is the creation of a new economic development vision for Southwest Louisiana. It's going to be a plan for us to all partner together to achieve greatness. And so if you could take these cards with you, fill out that survey later, we'd really appreciate it. Pass those cards along, get your friends, colleagues, and family to fill out the survey too. We really appreciate it. Even if you're not from here, we want to know what you think, what resonates about Southwest Louisiana. So thank you for that. So with that, I'd like to move on to our federal delegation, and I'll call up Harold Rowland, our host and title sponsor and general manager of LegisGator Casino Resort, Lake Charles, to introduce our senior senator. Harold?
Good afternoon. You've heard me before. Kevin Guidry warned me not to talk about my Florida Gators, so I will not do that, but instead I'll talk about the buffalo or the butter garlic at your table. That's a gift from Tommy Santanovich and Dragos, so I want to make sure you guys take that home with you. And on behalf of the 3,900 Penn Entertainment team members that work at LeGitar's Lake Charles, LeGitar's Baton Rouge, Boomtown New Orleans, Boomtown Bossier City, and Margaritaville Bossier City, I have the honor of introducing our state's senior senator. Bill Cassidy was elected to the United States Senate in 2014 and now serves as chair of the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee. He previously served as a state senator and a member of the U.S. House of Representatives before being elected to the U.S. Senate. Please welcome Senator Bill Cassidy.
Thank you, Harold. What a great event. You all have grown so much. Let me just compliment the governor on his remarks. He is talking about economic development in our state. Now, every morning I wake up and I try and have a higher purpose. If I'm only living for myself, what's the worth of living? But if I'm waking up and thinking about how do I work and win for the people of Louisiana and the people of the United States of America, I got a spring in my step. I got a meaning to my life. The governor spoke about our state getting better. And his message throughout was that we need to work together. And he spoke about how our federal and state effort is working together as it has not before. I'm going to speak first to my legislators, then speak about the One Big Beautiful Bill and families, next go to One Big Beautiful Bill and businesses, and finish up about something for us all. And I will be brief. You've heard me over the last several years talk to the legislators, talk to the local officials about the bipartisan infrastructure bill that has brought in over about almost $11 billion to our state to rebuild some of the infrastructure that the government points out has been kind of lacking. $150 million of that money is going for the Calcasieu River Bridge. When President Trump came here and he was going to Hackberry, he couldn't pronounce Calcasieu. He had to keep on working through Calcasieu. A New Yorker pronouncing Calcasieu is a thing to behold. But there's also money, and there's been $5.9 billion for roads and bridges otherwise. The legislature did a great job of managing that money. There's more dollars out there. So if you're a state local official, if you are a legislator, speak to my office. How do we work together to bring those dollars here? Now I'm going to speak to business, the families. In the One Big Beautiful Bill, President Trump made good on his promises to take care of the American family. There is no tax on tip, no tax on overtime. If you are a senior, then there is most of all of us will not be paying tax on that Social Security. For families, the child tax credit was going to go down to $1,000. We kept it at $2,000. No, we raised it to $2,200. How do we help families who've been punished over the last 4 years in an economy which did not work for them? How do we help this economy to work for them now? Somebody reminded me today of Workforce Pell. That came through my committee, the Help Committee. Workforce Pell now allows someone to use a Pell Grant to go to a trade school. So when you're expanding your manufacturing facilities, you now have an opportunity for your workers to upskill. Let's go on, though, to businesses. In the One Big Beautiful Bill, there's a heck of a lot of incentive for business to expand and to create more jobs. There is a small business R&D tax credit, which goes back to December of '24. There is a full-time tax credit for R&D for bigger business. There's immediate expensing for investment in U.S. manufacturing and production. If you're thinking that you want to expand, now's the time to do it. If you want to bring production back from China or elsewhere to the United States, now's the time to do it. We've done our best to help you be able to afford that by altering the tax code. And for the pass-throughs, we made permanent the 20% pass-through. Now let me finish about us all. We got some problems in our state. We still, and the governor mentioned it. In fact, his wife mentioned it when she told him good luck. One of those is flood. Now we can lower flood insurance premiums. There is hundreds of millions of dollars that have come from the bipartisan infrastructure bill for flood mitigation and coastal restoration. But John and I are both working on the National Flood Insurance Program. How can we reauthorize it and make it so it's more affordable, more sustainable, and more accountable? Because this works for us all. If that family cannot afford to live here because of high insurance costs, then you, as the business people, will not have somebody to hire. But if they want to live here and they can afford to live here, then my gosh, then we all grow together. So let me finish. I started off by saying every morning I wake up, how can I work and win for Louisiana? But I think that's you too. I think that is all of us. How do we make our state and our country a better place? You got my pledge. I will work with you whether you're a family, an individual, or a business. Let's make our state better. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Cassidy. And next up, we have Grace Stream, President of Stream Wetland Services, to introduce our next speaker. Gray?
Thank you, Scott. Is there a script here? I'm not going to look at it. Sorry. I want to compliment you, though, on the amazing job that you're doing. Everybody, the Chamber Board did a phenomenal job recruiting new leadership. He's mild and soft-spoken, but our new leader is an absolute hard charger, very focused, very strategic, and we are all going to see the benefit of it, and I really appreciate what you're doing, Scott. And this governor of ours, this stuff is not happening accidentally. I really appreciate what you're doing, Governor, and thank you for the opportunity to sit next to you, our Secretary of Economic Development today, who I have a huge fondness for, because once again, we have an economic development department that is creating success for this state, not accidentally, but because of a strategic plan and a tactical plan to execute on it and go get those wins. And that speaks to what you saw in talent and the type of structure that you want to put together, Governor. I really appreciate it. Sorry, Scott, not following the script.
No worries.
I love the last senator, too. We're all very privileged to have Senator Cassidy working hard for us and for our country. But you know what? The privilege that I was actually supposed to take when I came up here is getting to introduce our junior senator. I guess I should get to that part. It's kind of silly to try to introduce Senator John Kennedy. He really needs no introduction. You all know him. You don't know what he's going to say, but you all know him. He's served our state for a long time. He's served the state since back in the Romer days and was our treasurer for a long time. He has been a brilliant servant to our country and our state, particularly in so many ways. We really appreciate him. And I know he's brilliant, not just because of UVA Law School or Rhodes Scholar, but he's a Vanderbilt graduate, so anchor down, sir. Senator Kennedy, thank you.
I came today to tell you how proud I am of Southwest Louisiana. I came today to tell you how proud I am of you. You get up every day, you go to work, you obey the law, you pay your taxes, and you try to do the right thing by your children. Some of our colleagues in Washington, D.C. think that that government made America great. No, it didn't. Ordinary people like you doing extraordinary things made America the greatest country in all of human history. That's the main reason I came today, just to say thank you. I thought my good friend Senator Cassidy did a great job of telling you about some of the things that we got going on in Washington. I'm not going to repeat it. I will mention one other thing that I'm very proud of, that I know my colleagues are proud of too. It was a 5-year, 6-year struggle, but the new LNG Center of Excellence is now in Lake Charles and McNeese State University, and I'm very proud of it. As the governor talked about it, it's not all unicorns and rainbows. We have challenges in our state and in our country. I worry about Louisiana. It's my job. Governor Landry and his team, Jeff, have been extraordinarily aggressive. Thank you. In terms of creating jobs. We've got to give our young people a reason to stay in Louisiana. I talk to a lot of young people and they say, well, Texas, Florida, Denver. I get it. I was young once. The grass is always greener somewhere else. Let me tell you something. The grass is greener where you water it. That's where the grass is greener, and Governor Landry understands that, and I thank him for creating the jobs to keep our kids home. But I do worry. We're losing population. And it's a challenge. So I guess if you take away nothing else from what I'm talking about today, go make a baby. I'm pretty sure it'll be more fun than anything you're doing right now. Kids are great. They're easy to beat at chess. We need more. It's not just true in Louisiana, but I do worry about it. I don't want to end, though, on a negative note. Okay? I'm an optimist. I'm an optimist who worries. Sometimes I'm a paranoid optimist, but I'm an optimist. And I believe that Louisiana's future and America's future can be better than our present or our past. I believe that we're only as good as our dreams. Jeff talked about some of them. We're only as good as our dreams. We shouldn't fear our future. We ought to grab for it. And we're only as valuable as our children. But I'm also not going to bubble wrap it. No one's coming to save us but ourselves, folks. And in Washington, D.C., the water is not going to clear up until you get the pigs out of the creek. And that's just the way it is. Serving you, representing you in the United States Senate is the honor of a lifetime. And I will continue to fight for you. I don't know what my future holds, never do, none of us do. And I can't promise you that I will win every fight, but I'll promise you this, two things. By God, I may not win every fight, but I will refuse to be beaten. And number two, when you do tell me to come home, no one will ever say, Kennedy quit. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Thank you to our senators for being here today. It is a big commitment, and we appreciate that you're committed to the state of Louisiana. With that, I'd like to turn it over to the U.S. House side, and we're going to hear a couple of our speakers right now. Sarah Bairstow, the president of Louisiana LNG and presenting sponsor of Woodside Energy. Sarah?
Hi, everybody. Sarah Bairstow, president of Louisiana LNG, a Woodside Energy investment. For those of you that aren't as familiar with Woodside Energy, Woodside's an international energy company that's been building energy projects and producing LNG since the late 1980s. We've always had a great line of sight on LNG growth and a lot of the opportunity around it. Around 10 months ago, Woodside made its first investment here. We made around a $2.3 billion investment in a blue ammonia project in Beaumont, Louisiana. And only 4 months ago, we sanctioned a $17.5 billion investment in Louisiana LNG. These decisions around key investment have been very intentional because we believe in Louisiana, the opportunity it presents, and we look forward to working with you on each of these projects as we deliver them. With that noted, I'd like to introduce Captain Clay Higgins. He represents Louisiana's 3rd Congressional District. He was elected to Congress in 2016 and currently serves on the Armed Services and Homeland Security Committees and the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. Please welcome Congressman Clay Higgins.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's so good to stand before you again and reflected upon that this is the 20th anniversary of LegisGator. And I've been attending now for 9 years. And I recall, I didn't know anything about this gathering. Generally speaking, when I first attended, my thoughts were along the lines of the only time I had ever been inside a hotel this nice was if someone had to be arrested. And I reflect upon, gaze upon you men and women, beautiful Americans, Louisiana citizens, dedicated to your community and your state, your country. You love your country. We all are a slightly different shade of ideology. That's okay. We have battles to fight that we engage in Baton Rouge over important legislation, and those battles should be fought in Baton Rouge on the legislative floor and in the governor's office. That's how a sovereign state is supposed to govern itself. It should be vigorous debate. And this is what you witness at the federal level. Your Louisiana delegation indeed engages in vigorous, sometimes contentious debate with our colleagues. But we have something in common, all of us, that we've never failed to deliver. Senator Cassidy, Senator Kennedy, been amazing partners to me on my journey in my 9th year of service now. Steve Scalise put his arm around me on day one. He said, I believe in you, I'm gonna help you. Mike Johnson came into Congress with me, and what an amazing man he has been, a dear friend, man of deep principle. Julia, maybe the most delightful person ever to serve in Congress, and one of the brightest as well, has been a dear friend. My colleague, Troy Carter, has been a strong representative of his party and a dedicated partner in anything to do with advancing Louisiana's interests. Cleo Fields has joined your Louisiana delegation this year, and he's been an amazing partner. He and I just introduced a bill together to help Louisiana shrimpers. So your Louisiana delegation has it in common that we have vigorous debates on national issues and ideological perspectives. But when it comes to Louisiana, we are one. And Louisiana is first on our minds. So working with our governor and the state representatives and state senators in Baton Rouge, we are advancing the causes of the citizenry of Louisiana. We're dedicated to that. And all this passed through my mind when I thought about 20th anniversary. And I came here 9 years ago. I've also been attending DC Mardi Gras. And I thought about my dear friend Gray Stream and the burden he has to bear. Now he's the king of DC Mardi Gras, so be careful what you wish for. You might get it. And I look at the crowd and I realize the significant difference between this crowd at LegisGator versus this crowd, same people at DC Mardi Gras, is one thing: alcohol. And it dawned on me, I'm gonna provide alcohol for the next LegisGator. Like, I'm gonna buy everybody a stiff drink. So yeah, there's a tremendous love that we have for each other. And we should engage in vigorous and sometimes contentious debate, should we not? These issues are important enough for us to debate. And that's what should be expected of your elected officials, is to always focus on the win for our citizens and be willing to stand upon core principles as we pursue those goals. So I'll leave you with 18 very significant words. And if you feel the Spirit move, then express thyself. Because God is still on the throne. God is still on the throne. God is still on the throne. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and God bless. Alcohol next year.
I'm not sure about that. I did get to go to DC Mardi Gras this year, and again, I'm not sure about that. Next, Kim Cusimano is coming up, and she is the Director of Global Government and Public Affairs for SASOL, to introduce our next speaker. Kim?
It's my privilege to welcome a distinguished guest, Congressman Julia Lepo. Representing Louisiana's 5th Congressional District, she made history as the first Republican woman elected to Congress from our state. Since taking office in 2021, she's become a key voice on Capitol Hill, serving on the influential House Appropriations Committee and the House Education and Workforce Commission, where she champions issues that matter deeply to Louisiana families and businesses. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Congressman Julia Lepo.
Thank you so much. So what I've learned today is we need babies and alcohol in Louisiana. Now, I do have 2 babies of my own, and I know that alcohol does play a part in that. In all seriousness, it is so good to be home back in Louisiana. It has felt like we've been being held hostage for quite a while in DC, and it's so great to see so many familiar faces out there. It's hard to believe this is my 5th year, and I remember being so nervous coming in and not knowing most of you in this room, and now I'm so honored to count you not only as my colleagues, but as my friends. And thank you so much for making me feel so at home. And my goodness, what a year of accomplishments we have to celebrate this year. And I want to talk first about something that is near and dear to my heart, because I still have the immense honor of representing Northeast Louisiana. And we had the biggest shot in the arm that we have ever known in Northeast Louisiana. Now, when the governor ran, he made a promise to us in Northeast Louisiana. Sometimes we feel like the forgotten stepchild up there. And he said, I promise you this, we will not forget about you. And one of the first announcements that he made was the Metadata AI Center that is going to transform not only Northeast Louisiana, but Louisiana as a whole. And I'm so grateful to you for that. Promises made, promises kept. Thank you to our governor. Thank you. Thank you to Susan Bourgeois and her team for all that you did to make that happen. You know, we've always said that Louisiana is the land of opportunity. The Lord has blessed us with abundant natural resources, the mighty Mississippi River, rich, fertile farmlands, amazing educational institutions, most importantly, hardworking people, incredible leadership at this table. And do you feel it? It's electric. You can feel it for the first time. We are all rowing in the same direction. The sky is truly the limit for Louisiana, and I could not be more excited to play a tiny part in that. Now, I have to tell you, my background is in education. I am so honored to still serve on the Education and Workforce Committee up in DC. And we are proud to be working on things that are important to you. My background, for example, in higher education, urging our universities to change the way they think, to not indoctrinate our children, but to produce a mighty workforce to build up the next generation of workers that you need to run your businesses and communities. And also, what is happening in Louisiana? This is incredible to me as a prior teacher, that we went from the bottom of the list to now 32nd. What is happening with Superintendent Cade Brumley in letting our teachers teach, letting parents have a say when it comes to their child's education. You know, I just had the honor, I know Senator Cassidy did as well, this last Monday with Secretary McMahon made her first stop in Louisiana on her education tour. You know, one of the first conversations I had with her, I said, so what are you working on? And she said, I'm working on getting fired. I said, oh, okay, that's great. She said, no, truly, the president wants me to be the last Secretary of Education because for far too long, the federal government has played more of a role in our children's lives than we have been able to play. And for the first time, this administration is saying no more. We are sending power back to the states where it belongs. We know how best to educate our children, not the government. And I'm so proud of her initiative and what's happening in the state in education. So thankful to that. Thankful to that. Now, we had a few sleepless nights working on this one big, beautiful bill. I had to admit to my mother that I drank a few energy drinks to get through some of those late night votes. But there are so many incredible things to it. And I'm so grateful to our senators, but also, y'all, it is an incredible time to be up in Washington, D.C., serving in Congress and be from Louisiana. Has anybody noticed that we have the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and the Leader of the House, Steve Scalise, number one, number two, first time in American history that we have had a speaker and a leader from the same state. Y'all, that is incredible, and we are capitalizing on it up in Washington, D.C. I had to get a shout out to them. And it's because of it. I don't know if y'all know this. On the Senate side, they have more decorum. On the House side, we are an unruly group of just all over the place. The governor knows he was there. And it's hard to get everybody on the same page. And for the first time, we are doing it. We are passing monumental legislation that when you go to file your tax returns this next year, you are going to see it. And I have to tell you, as I travel the state and I talk to hardworking families, and I'll even feel it as a mom. I mean, think about the child tax credit that the senator talked about, how that's going to help moms and dads. There's even incentives in there to get to partner with small businesses to provide paid family leave. Now, as a mom coming back in the workforce, how important that is for us to get our moms and dads back into the workforce. Y'all, there are so many incredible nuggets in that one big, beautiful bill. It's so exciting. And agriculture is the number one industry in my district. We updated reference prices for commodities that haven't seen those updates in over 5 years since the last farm bill. And for those who want to have that estate exemption to leave their farmers, y'all, we need to be able to put food on our tables. It's a matter of national security. We have to support our farmers. I could go on and on about all the nuggets that are in the one big, beautiful bill, but you'll just have to wait and see, because I promise you, you are going to feel them in your pocketbook come next year. And then finally, I had the immense honor of serving on this tiny little committee. It's called Appropriations. It's awesome. I'm just kidding. It's not tiny. It's awesome. And I have learned so many wonderful things from Senator Kennedy. He's been an amazing mentor of mine. I wish he would teach me how to deliver a zinger like that. We're still working on that. But he has been an incredible proponent for Louisiana to bring your hardworking tax dollars back to Louisiana where they belong, because I've seen them go to crazy projects, to a dog park in California or a tunnel between New York and New Jersey. No, you have an appropriator on the Senate side, an appropriator on the House side that are fighting for you to have a seat at the table to bring those dollars back to Louisiana where they belong. In my short 5 years, I'm so proud that our team has brought back $100 million back to Louisiana alone, back to you where it belongs. Thank you. In closing, I just would like to thank all of you. Thank you for pouring into me. Thank you for giving me this incredible opportunity. There's not a day goes by that I don't recognize that I was never supposed to be here. I was never supposed to be on this stage, but thanks to you and your prayers and believing in me, this dream has become a reality, and it has given my life so much purpose and so much healing. So thank you, and thank you to the delegation. to everyone on this stage. You've all adopted me. You call me your little sister, except I keep getting older, so maybe we need to come up with a new analogy, but I'm so grateful to you for pouring into me and taking me in as your own. I truly appreciate it. So with that, I will leave it. You know, I did pick up a new district. I've never run in the same district twice. I have the immense honor of representing LSU now, so let's leave it with Go Tigers!
Thank you, Congresswoman. Let's give all of our speakers a round of applause. At this time, I'd like to recognize our Golden Gator sponsors. Please hold your applause until I get to the end of the list. Advantis Consulting, Cameron LNG, Cheniere Energy, Chenault International Airport, Christus Ochsner Health Southwest Louisiana, Coshada Tribe of Louisiana, Energy Transfer, First Horizon Bank, Hunt, Gilead and Associates, Indorama Ventures, Jeff Davis Parish Economic Development, JD Bank, Mallet Buildings, Port of Lake Charles, Rail Logics, Sempra Infrastructure, Stream Wetland Services, the Picard Group, Venture Global, Walnut Grove, West Calcasieu Cameron Hospital, Westlake Corporation. Let's give them all a round of applause. We also want to recognize and thank our Bayou backer sponsors, Acadian Ambulance, Coca-Cola Bottling Company, Lake Charles, CSC Federal Credit Union, Didier Consulting, Entergy, Health and Safety Council, Louisiana, Lake Charles Memorial Health System, Lake Charles Pilots, Lake Charles Regional Airport, Lotte Chemicals, Phillips 66, Recon Management, Stein, and Turner Industries. Thank you all to our sponsors. We have so many dignitaries and officials and economic development partners here today. We just don't have time to list everyone. We'd be here until 5 o'clock, and I know we're committed to get you out of here on time. So with that, I am going to turn it over to start our LegisGator Awards. And for these first awards, when your name is announced, please come up on stage to accept your award and take a picture. To give our first award, I'd like to again welcome our board chair, Jamie Fruget. I do have to tell you, Jamie has been an excellent board chair for me coming in. I really do appreciate her willingness to stay on for an extra term. So let's give her a very warm round of applause.
Thank you, Scott. The Chair's Award is given to a legislator who goes above and beyond in supporting the priorities of the Southwest Chamber Alliance. This past session, the legislature made huge strides with a targeted package of reform bills to reshape the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development. This package of bills increased transparency, streamlined permitting, and improved coordination with local officials, all aimed at cutting red tape and putting more dollars into infrastructure. This House member met with colleagues, local government officials, and community stakeholders to ensure these changes were embraced by all. For his leadership and vision as chairman of the House Transportation Committee, please join me in congratulating Representative Ryan Boryak as this year's award winner.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Ronnie Petrie for our next award. Ronnie is the chair of our Government Relations Committee for Southwest Louisiana Alliance and also sits on our executive committee. Ronnie?
Hey, kid from Melton, 68 years ago. I couldn't have been born in a more perfect place in the world. And we've had great leaders, but today I stand amongst a bunch of great leaders and most of all, what makes our state great is the people of this state, and we will accomplish what we set out to do. Give yourselves a hand. The Public Policy Award is given to a legislator who is successful at prioritizing the needs of our region. This year, we saw multiple attempts to deal with the complex inventory tax. This tax on business inventory has been a delicate balance between the state, local governments, and the business community. This member of the House worked closely with his House colleagues and Senator counterparts to find a solution to the inventory tax roll-off. For his leadership and ability to work across the aisle and delivering real progress on tax reform, we are proud to present the 2025 Government Affairs Award to Representative Kendrick Ken Brass, District 58, Bastrop, Louisiana. Unfortunately, the representative could not be here today. He sends his regrets, but very deserving of the reward. And in his honor, I say, let's get rid of the inventory tax. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie. To present the remainder of our awards, I'd like to call on former Legislator of the Year, former Senator Mike Michaud, a principal with the Picard Group, which represents the Chamber Southwest Louisiana Alliance. Mike?
Thank you, Scott. Scott, you did a good job pronouncing my last name, because I hear it, Michaud, all kind of things, but you got it, so you're already a Louisianian. For our special recognition award, we have a freshman representative who has quickly made a name for himself, serving on several key House committees. But it is his service on the Insurance Committee where he championed legislation directing millions annually to the Louisiana Fortify Homes program. These funds will help homeowners install hurricane-resistant roofs and qualify for up to $10,000 in grants, serving as a key tool to reduce homeowner insurance costs across the state. This legislation serves as real relief for families and businesses while strengthening regulatory oversight and market stability throughout Louisiana. For his leadership and effort in the area of insurance reform, we give special recognition to Representative Troy Hebert. While Troy's making his way to the stage, we're going to move on to the Rising Star Award. During the 2025 legislative session, the topic of energy was front and center. This member of the House was born and raised in oil and gas and understands how much this industry contributes to Louisiana's economy and way of life. He quickly immersed himself into the issue of improving Louisiana's legal landscape, meeting with stakeholders and working to protect our state's over 300,000 oil and gas jobs. He also championed legislation to strengthen Louisiana's energy grid by prioritizing in-state reliable power sources, ensuring affordability and energy independence. For his role as a champion for the Louisiana energy industry, we present this year's Rising Star Award to Representative Jacob Landry. We will now move on to our Leadership Awards. As I begin to call the names of our 2025 Leadership Award honorees, would you please come to the left side of the stage where Janie Frugier and Michelle McGinnis will give you your award and take a photo. Senator Mark Abraham, Senator Gerald Boudreaux, Senator Mike Facey, Senator Bob Hinskins, Senator Greg Miller, Senator Beth Mizell, Senator Blake Miguez, Senator Brock Myers, Senator Mike Reese, Senator Jeremy Stein, Rep. Larry Bagley, Rep. Dennis Bamberg, Rep. Chad Boyer, Rep. DeWitt Carrier, Rep. Emily Chenevert, Rep. Kimberly Coates, Representative Jason DeWitt, Rep. Les Fornham, Rep. Barbara Freiberg, Rep. Brett Diamond, Rep. Brian Glorioso, Rep. Chance Henry, Rep. Dixon McMakin, Rep. Troy Romero, Rep. Rodney Shammerhorn, Rep. Annie Spell, Rep. Vinnie St. Blanc, Rep. Philip Tarver, Rep. Joy Walters, and Rep. John Wyhood. Please join me in congratulating our legislative award winners. For the 2025 Legislator of the Year, we honored two legislators whose leadership during the tax reform session helped move Louisiana forward in bold and meaningful ways. They both worked tirelessly in a special session to simplify and strengthen our tax code, making us more competitive with other states. These two legislative leaders conducted a thorough evaluation and restructuring of the LED incentive programs, ensuring these tools are competitive, transparent, and up to date. They also are the two architects of the state's capital outlay bill, which delivers robust funding for our state's roads, ports, and public infrastructure. For their impact on our state in multiple areas, please join me in recognizing our 2025 co-legislators of the year, Senator Franklin Foyle and Representative Julie Emerson.
Well, that concludes today's event. Thank you for coming. Please do fill out that survey, take that card, get as many people as you know to fill out the survey as well. I'd like to recognize a few people that made today happen. First, the card group and all of their work. Let's give them a round of applause. Mike, the team, Paige, who's behind the curtain. Second, I'd like to thank the Chamber Southwest Alliance team, Michelle McGinnis, and our team members. Let's give them all a round of applause. Thanks again to LeGitar's Casino for a great job. Thanks to Sitco, Sassaw, and Woodside, and all of our sponsors. Thank you all. Have a great day.